Hey guys, tonight we slip into a moonlit grove where whispers of an ancient Greek myth swirl like fireflies. Picture yourself trudging through a forest, the air cool and heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth. Your sandals sink into the soft, loamy ground, and a breeze tickles your neck, carrying faint giggles from deeper into the trees. You're not alone. Oh no, you probably won't survive this if you think you can waltz through a sacred grove without stumbling into something divine. Tonight, we're chasing the tale of a god who, in a stroke of sleepy genius, sparked the world's first pillow fight. It's a story of fluff, feathers, and a deity who couldn't catch a wink. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Please drop a comment with your city and local time. I'm curious about where you're heading off to tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together in this whimsical, enchanted grove. You push through a curtain of vines, their leaves brushing your arms like shy whispers. The grove opens up like a secret stage, fireflies pulsing lazily, their golden glow bouncing off mossy stones and gnarled roots. In the center, a crowd of shadowy figures. Nymphs with hair woven with ivy, satyrs with wine-stained grins, maybe a lost shepherd or two, sway in a loose circle. They're not dancing, not exactly, but there's a rhythm to their movements like they're caught in a dream they don't want to wake from. You squint, and they're sprawled on a slab of marble that looks suspiciously throne-like, is a god. Not Zeus with his lightning bolt drama or Apollo with his golden boy glow, but a lesser-known deity, one whose name historians still argue over. Let's call him Somnus, though some insist he's a distant cousin of Hypnos, the sleeping god. His tunic is rumpled, his eyes half-lidded, and he's clutching something soft and feathery that doesn't quite match the divine aesthetic. The crowd hums, and you catch snippets of their chatter. He tossed all night again. The nymph murmurs, her voice like a lullaby you can't resist. Couldn't sleep, so he invented something. You edge closer, trying not to trip over a root because you're not exactly a stealthy mortal in this sacred hangout. The air feels thick, like the moment before a dream pulls you under, and the scent of wild thyme mixes with something sweeter, maybe honeysuckle. Somnus yawns, and the crowd giggles. Divine yawns are contagious, and you're fighting one yourself. You notice his hands fidgeting with that feathery thing, a crude pillow stuffed to bursting with what looks like goose down. A quirky tidbit floats through your mind. Ancient Greeks believed pillows could hold dreams, sometimes stitching them with lavender or chamomile to chase away nightmares. This pillow, though, looks like it's one sneeze away from exploding. The grove pulses with sleepy energy like everyone's teetering on the edge of a nap. The nymphs toss handfuls of petals, rose, maybe, or something wilder, that float down like snowflakes, catching the moonlight. You wonder if this is a ritual, a party, or just another weird night in ancient Greece. Knowing myths, it's probably all three. A satyr nearby mutters about how Somnus once tried to nap on a cloud and fell straight through. Classic god move, thinking clouds are solid. You stifle a chuckle because, come on, who hasn't overestimated something fluffy at least once? The mainstream fact here is that sleep was sacred in ancient Greece. Temples to Hypnos dotted the landscape, where insomniacs prayed for relief. But Somnus, with his divine mischief, seems to embody a different aspect of sleep, less about solemn prayers and more about playful pranks. You find a spot near a gnarled olive tree, its branches heavy with fruit nobody's picking. The bark is cool against your back, and you settle in, feeling your eyelids droop as the crowd's murmurs soften. Somnus stands, wobbling slightly, and holds up his lumpy pillow like it's a sacred relic. The nymphs cheer, but it's a gentle cheer like they're trying not to wake the forest. You lean forward, curious, your sandal catching on a stray vine. Is this a ceremony? A divine prank? The moonlight catches the pillow's seams, and a single feather escapes, drifting toward you like it's got a mission. You're in too deep to turn back now, and the grove feels alive, like it's holding its breath for what's next. Your heart beats a little faster, not from fear but from the thrill of stumbling into a story nobody's told you before. The fireflies seem to wink in approval, and a satyr offers you a sip of wine from a chipped clay cup. You decline, unsure if drinking with mythical creatures is a great idea. Another nymph, her eyes glinting like the stars above, tosses a handful of petals your way, and one sticks to your tunic. You brush it off, but it leaves a faint scent of something floral and calming. The grove's magic is working on you, and you're not sure if you're dreaming already. Somnus shifts on his throne, muttering something about needing a better nap. You can't help but smile. God or not, he sounds like you after a long day. The crowd presses closer, their anticipation palpable. Whatever this god's about to do with that pillow, it's going to be weird, wonderful, and probably fluffier than you expect. You find yourself in a moonlit grove, the air filled with the enchanting scent of pine and petals. A nymph, her hair adorned with ivy, glides towards you. Her eyes twinkle like the fireflies above, and her voice, as gentle as a summer breeze, draws you deeper into this dreamlike setting. She has a tale to share, one about Somnus, the god from that marble slab, and his ceaseless struggle with sleepless nights. You lean against the sturdy olive tree, its rough bark grounding you, and listen as she weaves a story that feels like a secret whispered just for you. The crowd falls silent, their whispers fading, and you're captivated by her words, the grove's glow enveloping you like a warm blanket. She tells you Somnus wasn't always the god of fluffy chaos. Long before the pillow fights, he was restless, pacing the heavens with a frown that could dim the stars. You picture him, tossing and turning on a bed of clouds. Remember that cloud-napping fail you heard about? Yeah, that's him, flopping dramatically while the other gods snored. The nymph giggles, her laugh like a chime, and says Somnus once spent a whole century counting constellations to bore himself to sleep. Spoiler, it didn't work. You grin because who hasn't tried counting something? Sheep, stars, or that weird crack in your ceiling? To drift off? The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks often linked sleep to divine intervention. Priests in Hypnos temples used rituals to coax rest, sometimes with opium-laced drinks. But Somnus, the nymph hints, wasn't into potions. He wanted something softer, sillier. Her story takes a quirky turn. She leans closer, her breath smelling faintly of mint, and whispers that Somnus once asked a flock of owls for sleep advice. Owls, you imagine him, a god, arguing with birds who hoot back, unimpressed. Historians still debate whether Somnus was a distinct deity or just Hypnos under a different name. Still, the nymph's tale paints him as a divine oddball, too stubborn to follow the usual godly playbook. She describes his nights pacing Olympus, his sandals slapping the marble, while mortals below dreamed easily. You feel a pang of sympathy. Imagine being a god who can't sleep. The irony's thicker than the grove's air, and you stifle a chuckle, not wanting to break the spell. The nymph gestures toward the lumpy pillow Somnus was clutching earlier. It's no ordinary pillow, she says. It was born from his frustration, a desperate attempt to craft something that could cradle his restless head. You glance at it, still in his hands, feathers poking out like they're planning an escape. The pillow's origin, she teases, involved a quest for the softest materials in the cosmos. Think phoenix down, not your average goose feathers. You raise an eyebrow because, come on, phoenixes? That's a bit extra, even for a god. But her voice is so soothing, her words weaving through the grove's hum, that you buy it. The fireflies seem to nod, their lights pulsing slower, and you feel your shoulders relax, your breath sinking with the night. You notice the crowd around you swaying, caught in the nymph story like you are. A satyr nearby is half asleep, his wine cup tilting dangerously, and you wonder if he's dreaming of Somnus' failed naps. The nymph's tale paints a vivid picture. Somnus, bleary-eyed, wandering through mortal villages at night, watching them sleep in their simple beds of straw and wool. He was jealous, she says, of their peace. You can almost see him, a god peeking through windows like a cosmic creep, muttering, "How do they do it? It's absurd," and you let out a soft laugh, earning a wink from the nymph. She's good at this, pulling you into the myth while the grove's magic makes your eyelids heavy. The mainstream narrative persists. Sleep in ancient Greece was not merely rest. It was a spiritual act intertwined with dreams that conveyed messages from the gods. However, the nymph's peculiar anecdote lingers in your mind. Somnus, she claims, once attempted to sleep in a cave full of bats, believing their wings would lull him to sleep. Instead, it was a cacophony of chaotic squeaks. You can't help but picture the bats fluttering around his head, and a snort escapes you. The scholarly debate about Somnus' identity also lingers. Some argue he was a local deity, tied to specific groves like this one, not the renowned Hypnos. The nymph, however, is uninterested in the debate. She's too engrossed in describing Somnus' grumpy sighs, each one rustling the leaves around you. As she finishes, the grove feels quieter, the air cooler. You notice a faint mist curling around the trees, like the story itself is settling into the earth. The nymph drifts back to the crowd, her ivy crown catching the moonlight, and you're left with Somnus' image. A god who couldn't sleep, clutching a pillow that might change everything. You shift against the tree, the bark now feeling oddly cozy, and wonder what he did next. The pillow's still there, in his hands, and the crowd's watching him like he's about to pull off something wild. Your eyes are heavy, but you're too curious to drift off yet. The grove's waiting, and so are you. You're still nestled against that olive tree in the moonlit grove, the nymph's tale of Somnus' sleepless nights echoing in your mind. The air hums with anticipation, fireflies winking like tiny stars. As Somnus rises from his marble slab, clutching that lumpy, feather-stuffed pillow, you lean forward, sandals sinking into the soft earth, catching the faint scent of thyme and something sweeter, maybe wild honey. The crowd, nymphs, satyrs, and that one sleepy shepherd watches, their murmurs fading into a hush. Somnus isn't pacing or yawning now. His eyes, though still heavy, glint with a divine inspiration that seems to light up the grove. You're about to see how this god, fed up with tossing and turning, crafts the world's first pillow, and it's weirder and fluffier than you'd expect. Picture Somnus standing tall but slightly wobbly, as if he's had one too many ambrosia shots. He holds the pillow aloft, and you notice it's not just any bundle of feathers. The nymph's story hinted at Phoenix down, but now you hear a satyr whisper that Somnus scoured the cosmos for the softest stuff. Feathers from the wings of Eos, goddess of dawn, mixed with tufts of clouds snagged from the edges of Olympus. You raise an eyebrow because, really, cloud tufts? That's the kind of divine flex you'd expect from a god who tried napping with bats. You stifle a chuckle, imagining him plucking bits of the sky like it's cotton candy, a truly extravagant touch to his creation. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks stuffed their pillows with natural materials, wool, straw, sometimes feathers, but Somnus, being a god, clearly went for the deluxe edition. You watch as he paces the grove, muttering to himself, the pillow cradled like a newborn. The crowd parts, giving him space, and you catch glimpses of his process through their swaying forms. He's not just stuffing feathers. He's weaving a spell, his fingers trailing golden threads that shimmer in the moonlight. The quirky tidbit comes from a nymph nearby, her voice barely above a whisper. Somnus enchanted the pillow to hum a faint lullaby, audible only to those about to drift off. The idea of a pillow serenading you to sleep is charming, and you wonder if your own pillow back home could use a divine upgrade. Maybe that's why you're still awake, listening to this myth instead of snoring. The scene shifts as Somnus kneels by a stream cutting through the grove, its water glinting like liquid silver. He dips the pillow's fabric, some celestial linen, if the satyr's gossip is true, into the stream, murmuring words you can't quite catch. The water ripples, and you swear you see tiny stars swirling in it, like the stream streams in on the plain. Historians still argue whether Somnus was a god of sleep or just a local spirit tied to sacred groves like this one. But watching him now, you're convinced he's got some serious divine mojo. The pillow glows faintly. It seems holding together despite the feather's best efforts to escape. You're mesmerized, your eyelids drooping, but you force them open, not wanting to miss a second of this. Somnus stands again, brushing dirt from his tunic, and you notice the crowd's energy shift. They're not just watching, they're invested like they know this pillow's a game changer. A satyr stumbles over, offering you a fig from a woven basket, and you take it, mostly to be polite. It's sweet and sticky and grounds you in the moment, even as the grove feels like it's slipping into a dream. Somnus starts talking, his voice low and gravelly, like he's half asleep himself. He's explaining the pillow's purpose, not just to cradle his head but to spark joy in sleepless souls. You catch the word fight, and your ears perk up. A fight? With a pillow? You glance at the nymph from earlier, who winks like she knew this was coming. The grove's atmosphere thickens, the mist curling around your ankles like a cat. You bite into the fig again, its seeds crunching softly, and imagine Somnus testing his creation. Did he whack a cloud first to see what would happen? You grin because that's something this god would do. The mainstream thread continues. Ancient Greeks saw sleep aids as divine gifts, often dedicating pillows to Hypnos in temples. But Somnus' pillow feels personal, as if he crafted it out of sheer desperation. The quirky lullaby enchantment sticks in your mind, and you wonder if it's why the grove feels so calming, like a hug from the night itself. As Somnus paces, you notice a single feather drift from the pillow, catching the moonlight before it lands near your sandal. You pick it up. Its softness is unreal, like it's made of dreams. The crowd's murmurs start again, and you hear a satyr joke about Somnus trying to sell his pillows to mortals for a drachma each. Classic divine side hustle. You laugh softly, the sound blending with the grove's hum. The pillow's ready, glowing faintly in Somnus' hands, and you feel a tug of excitement mixed with that sleepy haze. Whatever he's planning, it's going to involve that pillow, and you're here for it. The grove waits, fireflies pulsing, and you lean back against the tree, ready for the next step in this divine, fluffy saga. You're still rooted in the moonlit grove, the scent of thyme and honey lingering as fireflies dance above. The nymph's tail and Somnus' glowing pillow. Remember that enchanted, feather-stuffed creation? Have you hooked, your sandals sinking deeper into the soft earth? The crowd of nymphs, satyrs, and that one dozing shepherd sways around you, their eyes fixed on Somnus, who's now pacing with purpose, clutching his celestial pillow like it's a battle standard. The air buzzes with a sleepy excitement, and you feel it too. Your eyelids heavy, but your curiosity sharper than ever. Somnus stops, grins, and tosses the pillow into the air, letting it land with a soft thud. The grove erupts and gasps, and you realize you're about to witness the world's first pillow fight. Divine chaos in the making. A whimsical spectacle that promises laughter and joy in a mythical setting. Somnus beckons the crowd closer, his voice gravelly but playful, like a tired uncle planning a prank. You shuffle forward, dodging a satyr's wobbly wine cup, and notice the pillow's faint glow, its lullaby enchantment humming just beyond your hearing. He explains his plan. Not just to sleep on this pillow, but to use it for a gentle combat to tire everyone out. You smirk because a god is inventing a pillow fight? That's the kind of divine nonsense you didn't expect tonight. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks loved competitive games, from wrestling to chariot races, often tied to festivals honoring gods. But Somnus' game feels different, less about glory, more about giggles and a good nap. He picks two nymphs from the crowd, their ivy crowns glinting and hands on the pillow. Swing gently, he says. Aim for laughter, not victory. You watch, half expecting a serious duel, but the nymphs giggle and bop each other lightly, feathers spilling like tiny comets. The crowd cheers, a soft, sleepy roar, and you can't help but laugh. Imagine explaining this to your friends. Yeah, I saw a god start a pillow fight. The quirky tidbit comes from a satyr leaning against a tree, whispering that Somnus tested his pillow on a cloud first, only to sneeze for a week from the fluff. You picture him, a god, red-nosed and grumpy, and stifle a chuckle, your hand brushing the olive tree's bark for balance. The fight escalates, but it's the gentlest chaos you've ever seen. Nymphs and satyrs take turns, grabbing pillows that seem to appear from nowhere. Maybe Somnus conjured extras because gods don't skimp. You're handed one, its fabric cool and soft, like it's woven from moonlight. You swing at a satyr, who dodges and retaliates with a feather-filled whack to your shoulder. Feathers explode, catching the firefly's glow, and you're laughing, your breath mixing with the grove's misty air. Historians still argue whether this myth inspired real Greek festivals, where playful contests mimic divine antics, but right now you're too busy ducking a nymph swing to care. The grove feels alive as if it's cheering you on, creating a shared experience that binds you to the other participants. You pause, catching your breath, and notice Somnus watching from his marble slab, a satisfied smirk on his face. He's not joining in, typical god move, letting mortals do the heavy lifting, but his eyes sparkle like he's finally found a cure for his sleepless nights. You swing your pillow again, aiming for a satyr who's dramatically pretending to collapse, and the crowd roars with laughter. The pillows are enchanted, you swear, because every hit feels like a hug, not a strike. You recall that owl story from the nymph, Somnus asking birds for sleep tips, and wonder if he got the pillow fight idea from watching them fluff their feathers. It's absurd, and you grin, feathers sticking to your tunic. The sense of wonder and enchantment in the air is palpable, making you feel captivated and intrigued by the divine pillow fight. The mainstream view holds that Greeks saw the play as a way to honor the gods, often weaving it into their rituals. But this pillow fight feels like Somnus' personal rebellion against sleeplessness, a divine experiment in joy. The quirky detail sticks with you, those enchanted pillows humming lullabies, making everyone yawn mid-swing. You feel it too, your arms heavy, but you keep going, caught in the grove's spell. The fireflies slow their dance, and the mist curls thicker around your ankles like the night urging you to relax. You dodge another pillow, its feathers grazing your cheek, and wonder how this chaos will spread beyond the grove. Somnus claps, his voice cutting through. Tire yourselves out, then sleep. You laugh because he's not wrong, your eyelids are drooping, but the fun's keeping you awake. The fight winds down, pillows scattered across the grove like fallen stars. You lean against the olive tree, clutching your pillow, its faint hum soothing your racing heart. The crowd's laughter fades into murmurs, and you notice a few nymphs curling up on the grass, pillows under their heads. Somnus watches, his lumpy creation back in his hands, and you feel a strange pride like you're part of something big. The grove's still buzzing, but it's softer now, the air cooler, the fireflies dimming. You're ready for whatever Somnus does next, but your body's begging for a nap. The pillow in your arms feels like a promise of dreams, and you're not sure you can resist much longer. You're still in the moonlit grove, feathers from that chaotic pillow fight. Remember the flurry of enchanted fluff? Clinging to your tunic like stubborn fireflies. The air hums with the grove's sleepy magic, thyme and honey mingling with the cool mist curling around your ankles. The crowd of nymphs and satyrs has settled, some sprawled on the grass, clutching their pillows like sacred treasures. You, a mortal who stumbled upon this whimsical scene, lean against the olive tree, its bark now feeling like an old friend, and watch Somnus, the god who started this fluffy madness, stride toward the center of the grove. His lumpy pillow glows faintly, and you swear it's still humming that lullaby you can't quite hear. But now the scene shifts. Somnus isn't staying here. He's headed to Olympus, and somehow you're tagging along, your sandals barely keeping up as the grove blurs into a starry ascent. You're on Olympus now, or at least a dreamy version of it, the air sharp with ozone and the faint scent of ambrosia. Marble columns loom, polished to a sheen that catches the starlight, and you feel wildly out of place, like you've crashed a divine house party. Somnus stands before a circle of gods. Apollo strumming a lyre, Athena tapping her foot, Hermes smirking like he's already stolen something, and holds up his pillow. You're close enough to see their faces, a mix of amusement and confusion, like they're not sure if this is a prank. You stifle a grin because, honestly, a god pitching a pillow fight to Olympus? That's bolder than you trying to stay awake past midnight. Somnus starts talking, his voice gravelly but earnest, explaining how his pillow fights tired out the grove's mortals and nymphs, sending them into blissful naps. You recall the chaos, feathers flying, satyrs fake collapsing, and nod, feeling a yawn creep up. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks saw sleep as a divine gift, often debating its purpose in temples dedicated to Hypnos, Somnus maybe cousin. But Somnus' idea isn't about solemn rituals. It's about play, a way to trick restless minds into rest. Apollo, all golden and smug, laughs and says it's undignified for gods. You roll your eyes because Apollo probably never had a bad night's sleep in his life. The idea of a god pitching a pillow fight to Olympus is as bold as you trying to stay awake past midnight, and you can't help but find it amusing. The quirky tidbit comes from Hermes, who leans over and whispers to you, yeah, you're somehow his new confidant, that Somnus once tried to bribe Morpheus, the dream god, with a pillow to get better dreams. It backfired, leaving Somnus stuck in a dream about endlessly folding divine laundry. You chuckle, imagining him grumbling over celestial togas, and Hermes winks, his sandals twitching like they're itching to fly. Historians still argue whether Somnus' pillow fight was a mythologized version of real Greek festivals, where playful contests honored gods, but up here on Olympus, it feels like a revolution. The gods are split. Athena is intrigued, muttering about strategy in pillow combat, while Ares, predictably, wants to weaponize it. You're just trying not to trip on a cloud. Somnus demonstrates, tossing his pillow at Hermes, who dodges with a laugh and lobs it back, feathers spilling like tiny stars. You duck because getting hit by a divine pillow might knock you into next week. The other gods join in, half-hearted at first, but soon Athena swings with tactical precision, and Apollo's lyre is buried under a pile of fluff. You're handed a pillow, don't ask how it just happens, and you swing at a minor wind god, who giggles and retaliates, sending feathers into your hair. It's chaos, but the sleepy kind, like a dream you're not sure you're in. You're laughing, your breath catching the cool Olympian air, and you wonder if this is how myths are born. The whimsy of the situation is not lost on you, and you find yourself fully immersed in this fantastical tale. The fight slows and Somnus steps back, watching with a tired but smug grin. You notice his pillows still intact, glowing softly, its lullaby hum making your eyelids droop. The gods are yawning now, even Ares, who's pretending he's not. You lean against a column, its marble cool against your shoulder, and feel the weight of the pillow in your hands. It's softer than anything you've touched, as if it's woven from moonlight and dreams. You recall that bat cave story, Somnus thinking their wings would fan him to sleep, and smile because this pillow fight is clearly his best idea yet. The gods are warming to it, their debates fading into sleepy murmurs. The scene feels like a painting, with all soft edges and a starlit glow. You catch Hermes muttering about selling enchanted pillows to mortals. Classic Hermes hustle. And you laugh softly, earning a nod from a nymph who's somehow here, too. The mainstream thread lingers. Greeks believed divine intervention shaped sleep, often seeking it through rituals. But Somnus' pillow fight feels like a rebellion against those stuffy ceremonies, a way to make rest fun. You yawn, the pillows hum pulling you under, and notice the gods settling down, some curling up on clouds. Somnus watches, his eyes heavy but bright, like he's finally found peace. You're not sure how you'll get back to the grove, but for now you're content, the Olympian air lulling you as feathers drift like tiny promises of sleep. You're back in the moonlit grove, the Olympian chaos. Remember that divine pillow fight, fading like a dream as your sandals sink into the familiar soft earth. The scent of thyme and honey wraps around you, fireflies pulsing lazily, and the grove feels quieter now, like it's catching its breath. Somnus is gone, probably still basking in his Olympian triumph, but his pillow fight idea has trickled down to mortals. You're surrounded by villagers, farmers, weavers, a few kids clutching makeshift pillows, gathering under the same starry canopy where you first saw Somnus' lumpy creation. They're buzzing with excitement, their voices a soft hum, and you realize they're here to mimic the gods' fluffy battle. You lean against the olive tree, its bark cool and steady, and watch this mortal take on divine mischief unfold. The villagers form a loose circle, their torches casting flickering shadows that dance with the fireflies. A woman with a braided crown, maybe the village storyteller, steps forward, holding a pillow stuffed with straw and feathers. It's no enchanted phoenix down masterpiece, but it's got charm, with clumsy stitches and a faint lavender scent. She announces a festival of fluff, inspired by whispers of Somnus Grove antics. You grin because news travels fast when gods get silly. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greek festivals often blended play and worship, like the Dionysia with its wine-fueled dances. This gathering feels like that, but sleepier with pillows instead of grapevines. You're handed a pillow, rough wool, heavy with dried herbs, and nudged into the circle. The rules are simple. Swing softly and aim for laughter, just like Somnus taught the nymphs. You swing at a kid, who giggles and bops you back, sending a puff of straw into the air. It's not as magical as the divine version, but it's fun, and you're laughing, your breath mixing with the grove's misty air. A quirky tidbit floats from a nearby farmer. Some villagers believe Somnus visits their dreams if they win, granting them a night of perfect sleep. Do you raise an eyebrow because, come on, a god-judging pillow fight? But the kid's grin makes you wonder if there's truth in it. The fight kicks up, pillows thwacking gently, and you dodge a swing from an older man who's surprisingly spry. Feathers and straw drift like lazy snow, catching the torchlight, and you feel your eyelids droop, the lavender from your pillow working its magic. Historians still argue whether these mortal pillow fights were real rituals or just myths spun from stories like Somnus. But here, in the grove, it feels real. You're in the thick of it, swinging at a weaver who's laughing so hard she drops her pillow. You recall the Olympian gods, Athena's tactical swings, Hermes' sneaky dodges, and realize these villagers are just as enthusiastic, if less sparkly. A girl tugs your tunic, offering you a sip of watered wine from a clay cup. You take it, the tang grounding you, and notice the crowd's energy softening. Some kids are yawning, clutching their pillows like teddy bears, and you feel the grove's sleepy spell settling in. The storyteller calls a pause, and everyone flops onto the grass, pillows under their heads. You join them, the ground cool but soft, and stare up at the stars through the olive branches. The mainstream thread holds that Greeks saw communal play as a way to connect with the divine, often through festivals. But this feels personal, as if the villagers are chasing Somnus's dream of rest through laughter. The quirky detail sticks with you, that dream visit rumor. You imagine Somnus peeking into winter's sleep, maybe tossing in a good dream as a prize. You chuckle, picturing him grading pillow swings like a grumpy coach. The grove's hum, crickets, leaves, distant owls, blends with the villagers' murmurs, and you feel your own pillow's weight, its herbs lulling you. A boy nearby jokes that his pillow's stuffed with Somnus leftover feathers. And you laugh, earning a sleepy grin. The torchlight dims, and the fireflies take over, their glow softer now. You recall the Batcave fiasco, Somnus thinking wings would fan him to sleep, and smile because this pillow fight is clearly his better idea. The storyteller starts a tale, her voice low, about Somnus watching from the stars. You listen, your pillow cradling your head, and feel the grove's magic pulling you under. The villagers are settling, some already snoring, and you wonder if this is how myths spread, one grove, one fight, one sleepy village at a time. Your eyes trace the constellations, and you swear one wink like Somnus himself is watching. The pillow's lavender scent mixes with the grove's air, and you're fighting to stay awake, but it's a losing battle. The festival's a success, feathers scattered like offerings, and you're part of it, drifting closer to sleep with every breath. You're sprawled on the cool grass of the moonlit grove, the echoes of the villagers' pillow fight. Remember that flurry of straw and laughter, still settling around you. The air carries the faint scent of lavender from your pillow, mixed with thyme and the earthy tang of the grove. Fireflies pulse lazily, their glow softer now, as the villagers, a mix of farmers, weavers, and sleepy kids, gather in a loose circle. The storyteller, her braided crown catching the torchlight, stands tall, holding a pillow that's seen better days. She's not just here to swing. She's laying down rules for Somnus' divine game, turning this fluffy chaos into something the grove can repeat. You shift, your sandal nudging a stray feather, and lean in, curious to hear how a god's prank becomes a mortal tradition. The storyteller's voice is low, as if she's coaxing you into a dream, as she explains Somnus's rules for pillow fighting. Swing with care, she says. For joy, not harm. You nod, recalling the gentle thwacks from earlier, nothing like the wrestling matches you've heard about in Greek festivals. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks loved structured games, often codifying them with rules to honor gods, like the Olympic codes for Pancration. But Somnus' rules feel softer, almost absurdly polite, like he's worried someone might bruise their ego. You grin, imagining him refereeing with that lumpy pillow, probably yawning mid-call. She lists the first rule. Pillows must be stuffed with natural things. Feathers, herbs, maybe wool, no rocks. You chuckle because who'd sneak a rock into a pillow? It's probably that kid who bopped you too hard earlier. The quirky tidbit comes from a weaver nearby, whispering that Somnus once judged a pillow's softness by napping on it mid-fight, snoring so loud the grove shook. You picture him, a god, dozing while feathers fly and stifle a laugh, your hand brushing the grass. Historians still argue whether these rules were real or just mythic flair, but the storyteller's conviction makes you believe every word. The second rule is not to aim for the face, only the shoulders or backs. You nod, feeling the ache from that satyr's lucky hit, Somnus clearly knew face shots ruin the vibe. The villagers murmur, some practicing swings, their pillows puffing out lavender-scented clouds. You clutch yours, its rough will warm from your grip, and notice a girl nearby stitching hers tighter, muttering about keeping the feathers in. The groves hum. Crickets, distant owls, blends with her needle's soft rhythm, and you feel your eyelids droop. The storyteller adds a third rule. Every fight ends with a bow, a nod to Somnus for his gift of rest. You smirk because bowing after a pillow fight feels like thanking a chef for a great meal. You're roped into a practice round, the storyteller pointing at you with a grin. You stand, pillow in hand, and face a farmer who's clearly more excited about this than his daily plow. You swing gently, following the rules, and he returns a soft thwack, laughing as straw spills. The crowd cheers, sleepy applause, and you feel like you're in a dream where everyone's too tired to care who wins. The mainstream thread holds that Greek rituals often had strict etiquette, like libations before feasts, to keep the gods happy. Somnus rules, though, seem designed to keep everyone napping, not praying. The quirky story about Somnus snoring mid-fight sticks with you, and you imagine him refereeing this very grove, muttering rules between yawns. You laugh softly, earning a nod from a kid who's now using his pillow as a hat. The grove's air feels cooler, the mist thicker, curling around your ankles like a sleepy cat. The storyteller adds a final rule. Share your pillow with someone who needs rest. You glance at the dozing shepherd from earlier, his head on a lumpy pillow, and feel a tug of warmth. Maybe that's the real magic here, spreading rest like a gift. You settle back on the grass, your pillow cradling your head, its lavender scent pulling you deeper into the grove's spell. The villagers practice the rules, their swings slower now, like they're already half asleep. You recall the Olympian pillow fight, Athena's tactical precision, Hermes' sneaky dodges, and realize these mortals are just as dedicated, if less sparkly. The fireflies dim, their glow blending with the torchlight, and you yawn, the rules settling into your mind like a lullaby. The storyteller's voice fades, but her words linger, promising more nights of fluffy chaos. You're not sure if you'll dream of Somnus or crash hard, but the grove's ready for another round, and so are you. You're still in the moonlit grove, the villagers' gentle pillow fight. Remember those sleepy swings and Somnus' quirky rules, fading into a soft hum of laughter and yawns. The air is thick with lavender and thyme, the fireflies dimming like they're ready to clock out. You're sprawled on the grass, your pillow tucked under your arm. Its rough will warm from your grip. The storyteller's voice lingers, but now a new figure steps forward. A wiry hunter with a weathered cloak, his eyes glinting under the torchlight. He's talking about a quest, one Somnus himself undertook to gather the feathers for that glowing, enchanted pillow you saw earlier. You lean forward, the olive tree's bark pressing into your back, and feel a spark of curiosity. You're about to follow a god on a hunt for the softest feathers in the cosmos. The hunter's voice, almost a whisper, describes Somnus trekking across misty mountains and starlit plains. You picture the god, his tunic snagging on thorns, muttering about sleepless nights as he chases feathers no mortal could dream of. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks valued feathers, especially from rare birds, for their pillows, believing they carried divine properties. But Somnus, being a god, wasn't hunting ordinary geese. The hunter claims he sought feathers from the Stymphalian birds, those bronze-beaked terrors Hercules once faced. You raise an eyebrow because, really, chasing monster birds for pillow stuffing? That's next-level dedication, even for a deity. The absurdity of the situation brings a chuckle to your lips, and you find yourself thoroughly entertained by the sheer audacity of Somnus' quest. You're swept into the story, imagining yourself trailing Somnus through a swamp where the air hums with metallic wings. The hunter says Somnus dodged those razor-sharp beaks, snatching feathers mid-flight with a net woven from moonbeams. You chuckle, picturing him flailing as you did in that pillow fight, only with more divine swagger. The quirky tidbit comes from a kid nearby, tugging your tunic and whispering that Somnus once got stuck in a tree trying to grab a single phoenix feather, only to sneeze when its fiery glow tickled his nose. You laugh softly because a sneezing god is exactly the kind of chaos you're here for. Your sandals sink deeper into the grove's soft earth as the hunter's tale unfolds. Somnus didn't stop at Stymphalian feathers, he says. He climbed to the edges of the sky, where Eos, the dawn goddess, sheds her rosy plumes each morning. You imagine him teetering on a cloud. Remember that cloud-napping flop? Plucking delicate, glowing feathers that shimmer like sunrise. Historians still argue whether Somnus' quest was a literal journey or a metaphor for chasing rest, but the hunter's conviction makes it feel real. You clutch your pillow tighter, its lavender scent grounding you, and wonder if any of its straw came from such a wild adventure. The vivid imagery and the smell of lavender in the air make you feel like you're right there, witnessing Somnus' daring quest. The grove's mist curls around your ankles, and you notice the villagers leaning in, their torches flickering like they're part of the story. A girl offers you a fig, its sweetness sharp on your tongue, and you munch as the hunter describes Somnus bargaining with a flock of harpies for their softer feathers. Harpies. You stifle a grin because negotiating with screeching bird women sounds like a nightmare, not a nap plan. The hunter says Somnus offered them a lullaby spell in exchange, and now you're imagining him singing off-key to calm a flock of monsters. The grove's hum, crickets, owls, leaves, blends with the story, and your eyelids droop, the pillow's weight tempting you to lie down. The mainstream thread continues. Greeks often tied feathers to divine rituals, using them in offerings or as dream conduits. But Somnus' quest feels personal, as if he was desperate enough to haggle with harpies just to sleep. The quirky phoenix feather sneeze sticks with you, and you smile, picturing Somnus wiping his nose on his tunic. A satyr nearby jokes that he tried stealing feathers from Hermes' winged sandals, only to get chased across Olympus. You laugh, the sound soft in the grove's quiet, and the hunter nods as he approves of your amusement. The fireflies slow their dance, their glow barely a whisper now, and you feel the story pulling you deeper. The whimsical nature of the story and the playful banter among the characters make you feel delighted and thoroughly entertained. You glance at your pillow, wondering if it holds a trace of Somnus' hard-won feathers. The hunter wraps up, saying Somnus returned to the grove with a sack of plumes. Stymphalian, phoenix, Eos dawn feathers, all stitched into that glowing pillow. You recall its hum, that faint lullaby from the fight, and feel your shoulders relax. The villagers are yawning, some curling up with their pillows, and you're tempted to join them. The grove feels like a cocoon, its misty air and soft hum urging you towards sleep. The hunter sits, his cloak blending with the shadows, and you lean back against the olive tree, ready for whatever comes next but already half dreaming of feathers and a god who wouldn't quit. You're nestled in the moonlit grove, the hunter's tale of Somnus' feather quest. Those Stymphalian birds and phoenix sneezes, still swirling in your mind like the mist at your ankles. The scent of lavender from your pillow mixes with time and the grove's earthy tang while fireflies flicker like dying embers. The villagers sprawled on the grass with their pillows, murmuring, some already snoring. You're leaning against the olive tree, its bark a familiar comfort, when a new tension ripples through the air. A shadow moves at the grove's edge and whispers spread. A rival god has shown up, and he's not thrilled about Somnus' fluffy fame. You clutch your pillow, its wool warm in your hands, and brace for divine drama because nothing says Greek myth like a jealous deity stirring trouble. The shadow steps into the torchlight, revealing a figure with a sharp grin and restless energy. Eris, goddess of discord, because, of course, she'd crashed this sleepy party. Her cloak shimmers like oil on water, and her eyes glint with mischief. You feel a chill, not from the mist but from her presence, like static before a storm. She's heard about Somnus pillow fight, that glowing, humming creation you saw in action, and she's not here to join the fun. The mainstream fact is that Greek gods were notoriously competitive. Their rivalries, think Athena versus Poseidon over Athens, fueling myths and mortal woes. Eris, though, seems personally offended by Somnus' new claim to fame. She strides toward the center, where the storyteller stands, still holding her battered pillow. Eris smirks, tossing a stray feather into the air, and declares Somnus pillow fight a silly distraction from true chaos. You roll your eyes because, come on, who gate crashes a nap festival? The quirky tidbit comes from a satyr nearby, whispering that Eris once tried to sabotage Somnus by hiding his pillow in a labyrinth, only for him to nap on a pile of leaves instead. You chuckle, picturing her fuming as Somnus snoozed, unbothered. You're starting to like this sleepy god more and more. Eris paces, her voice sharp but oddly soothing, like a lullaby with an edge. She claims pillow fights cause discord, not rest, and you sense the villagers shifting nervously, their pillows clutched tighter. You're not buying it. Those gentle thwacks from the fight were pure joy, but Eris has a knack for planting doubts. You recall the Olympian pillow fight, Hermes dodging feathers like a pro, and wonder if Eris was lurking then, jealous of the fun. Historians still argue whether Eris' role in this myth was real or a later addition to spice up Somnus' story, but her presence here feels too vivid to be fiction. You lean forward, the grass cool under you, waiting for her next move. She conjures a pillow of her own, black, sleek, probably stuffed with storm clouds, and challenges the villagers to a real fight. You're nudged into the circle, your lavender-scented pillow feeling flimsy against her divine menace. You swing anyway, aiming for her shoulder per Somnus rules, and she laughs, batting it back with a gust that smells of rain. Feathers fly, but they're sharp, not soft, and you dodge heart racing. The villagers join in, their swings are hesitant, and you realize Eris is turning this into chaos, not play. You laugh nervously because getting caught in a goddess tantrum wasn't on your grove itinerary. The mainstream thread holds that Greek myths often pit gods against each other, their squabbles shaping mortal lives. Eris' jealousy feels like a classic move, but Somnus' absence makes you wonder if he's napping through this drama. The quirky labyrinth story sticks with you, and you imagine him snoring on leaves while Eris raged. A kid nearby jokes that Eris' pillow is probably cursed to give nightmares, and you grin, tossing a handful of grass at him. The grove's hum, crickets, owls, leaves, feels strained, like it's holding its breath. You dodge another of Eris' swings, her pillow grazing your arm, and feel a jolt like static. This isn't Somnus' gentle game anymore. The storyteller steps in, her voice calm but firm, reminding everyone of Somnus' rules. Joy, not discord. Eris scoffs, but the villagers rally, swinging their pillows with renewed giggles. You join them, thwacking a farmer who laughs and returns the hit. The grove's magic pushes back, the mist thickening, fireflies pulsing brighter. Eris hesitates, her cloak dimming, and you sense she's losing steam. You yawn, the lavender from your pillow creeping in, and notice the villagers settling, their pillows cradled like shields. Eris vanishes into the shadows, muttering about better chaos elsewhere. You lean back against the olive tree, relieved, the grove's sleepy spell wrapping you up again, promising dreams over discord. You're back in the moonlit grove, Eris' chaotic interruption. Remember her storm cloud pillow? fading like a bad dream as the villagers' soft laughter returns. The air hums with lavender and thyme, fireflies flickering like they're relieved the goddess of discord is gone. You, a traveler from a distant land, are leaning against the olive tree, its bark cool and steady, clutching your herb-stuffed pillow, its faint lullaby hum soothing your nerves. The storyteller's calming words linger, and the grove feels peaceful again. But whispers ripple through the crowd. Somnus pillow fight isn't staying here. It's spreading, village to village, city to city, like a sleepy wildfire. You shift, sandals sinking into the grass, and imagine yourself wandering ancient Greece, chasing these festivals of fluff under starlit skies. Picture yourself trudging along a dusty road, the scent of olive groves and sea salt in the air. You reach a coastal village, its whitewashed houses glowing under the moon. There, in a courtyard, mortals gather, clutching pillows of wool and straw, their faces lit with torchlight and grins. They're reenacting Somnus game, swinging gently, feathers drifting like tiny constellations. You join in, your pillow thwacking a fisherman's shoulder, and he laughs, returning a soft hit that smells faintly of sage. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greek festivals, like those for Dionysus, often spread through trade routes, uniting communities in shared rituals. Somnus pillow fight, though, feels like a grassroots movement, passed from grove to tavern to agora. The sense of unity in the festival makes you feel a part of something larger, a shared celebration that transcends individual villages and cities. A quirky tidbit comes from a merchant nearby, his voice low as he polishes a clay cup. He claims some villages added a twist. Winners get to sleep on a sacred pillow, supposedly blessed by Somnus for dreamless rest. You chuckle, imagining a god signing off on pillows like a divine influencer. You swing your pillow again, dodging a kid who's way too enthusiastic, and feel the crowd's energy. Sleepy but joyful, like they're all in on a cosmic joke. Historians still argue whether these festivals were real or mythic exaggerations. But standing here, feathers in your hair, you're convinced they happened. You move on, your sandals kicking up dust as you reach a bustling city, maybe Corinth, where the festival's taken a fancier turn. Pillows here are dyed with madder root, stuffed with herbs like chamomile, and the rules, gentle swings bowing after, are chanted like a hymn. You're handed a pillow, softer than your grove one, and join a circle of merchants and poets, their swings more theatrical than fierce. A poet misses, his pillow bursting, and you laugh because even in a city, this game's delightfully silly. You recall the grove's rules, Somnus swing for joy mantra, and feel a thread connecting every fluffy bop from village to city. The mainstream thread holds that Greeks loved communal games, often tying them to divine worship, like the Panathenaic contests honoring Athena. But Somnus festival feels different. It is less about glory and more about shared rest. You yawn, the chamomile from your new pillow creeping in, and notice the crowd settling, some lying on cloaks with pillows under their heads. The merchant's quirky story lingers. Those sacred pillows sound like something Somnus would approve, maybe with a sleepy smirk. You grin, picturing him napping through his fame like that time he dozed in a tree chasing phoenix feathers. In another village, you find a smaller gathering of kids and elders swinging pillows by a river. The water's murmur blends with their giggles, and you join, your swing sending a puff of lavender into the air. A girl jokes that her pillow's stuffed with Somnus lost dreams, and you laugh, tossing a handful of grass at her. The fireflies here are brighter, mirroring the grove's glow, and you feel a pang of nostalgia for that first night. The festival spread is undeniable, each place adding its spin, herbs, dyes, even songs about Somnus. You lean against a stone wall, the pillow's weight tempting you to lie down. The shared joy of this experience makes you feel connected to a larger community, each swing of the pillow a testament to the enduring legacy of Somnus. The night deepens, stars sharp above, and you notice every festival ends the same, with yawns, pillows cradled, and mortals drifting off. You recall Eris' failed attempt to derail the grove's fun and smile because Somnus' idea is stronger than her chaos. The mainstream fact resonates. Greek culture thrived on shared stories, spreading myths like this one through travelers. You yawn again, the pillows sent pulling you under, and settle on the ground. The rivers hum a soft lullaby. The festival's alive, moving beyond this village, and you're part of it, carrying Somnus' fluffy legacy in your sleepy heart. The peaceful end of the festival leaves you feeling calm and relaxed, a testament to the restful spirit of Somnus' celebration. You're lounging in the starlit glow of that coastal village, the festival of fluff. Remember those chamomile-stuffed pillows? Still humming in your memory as you clutch your herb-scented pillow. The river's soft murmur blends with the fading giggles of villagers, now sprawled on cloaks, snoring under the night sky. You're leaning against a smooth stone wall, its coolness grounding you. The air thick with sea salt and lavender. The festival spread is undeniable, but now your mind drifts to the scholars who've puzzled over Somnus myth for centuries. You imagine yourself in a dusty agora, surrounded by robed philosophers stroking their beards, debating whether this pillow-fighting god really shaped ancient sleep rituals. Your sandal nudges a pebble, and you settle in, ready to explore their sleepy theories. Imagine yourself slipping into a torchlit hall, the kind where Greeks gathered to argue about gods and dreams. The air is thick with the scent of olive oil and old scrolls, and you're eavesdropping on a debate about Somnus. One scholar, his tunic stained with ink, insists Somnus was a local deity, tied to groves like the one you first wandered into. Another, waving a scroll, argues he's just Hypnos in disguise. His pillow fight a metaphor for calming restless minds. You can't help but smirk at the sight of academics bickering over a god's identity. It feels like a pillow fight with words. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks linked sleep to divine intervention, often seeking it in temples where priests used rituals, think incense and chants, to coax rest. A quirky tidbit floats from a young scribe, whispering as he refills an oil lamp. Some ancients believed Somnus pillow fights inspired dream battles, where sleepers fought off nightmares with imaginary pillows. You can't help but chuckle at the thought of swinging a dream pillow at a monster, feathers flying in your sleep. It's absurd, but you love it, especially after dodging Eris' stormcloud pillow back in the grove. Historians still argue whether Somnus myth sparked real rituals or was just a story to explain why Greeks stuffed pillows with herbs like lavender. You're leaning toward rituals, given how that grove's lavender scent nearly knocked you out. The scholars' debate heats up, one claiming Somnus festivals were a way to honor sleep as a communal act, like those village gatherings you saw. You nod, recalling the kids and elders swinging pillows by the river, their laughter a soft echo of Somnus rules. Another scholar, older and grumpier, insists it's all allegory. Pillow fights symbolizing the struggle against insomnia. You roll your eyes because, come on, sometimes a pillow fight's just a pillow fight. You imagine Somnus napping through this debate as he did in that phoenix feather tree and grinning. The hall's torchlight flickers, casting shadows that dance like fireflies, and you feel your eyelids droop, the pillow's weight tempting you to lie down. You shift, the stone wall cool against your back, and picture a third theory. Somnus as a trickster god, using pillow fights to teach mortals joy and rest. This one resonates, especially after seeing those festivals spread. Corinth's dyed pillows, the coastal village's sage-scented ones. The mainstream thread holds that Greeks saw sleep as a divine gift, often tying it to myths about Hypnos and his brothers. But Somnus' story feels earthier, as if he were one of us, desperate for a good nap. The quirky dream battle idea sticks with you, and you laugh softly, imagining a scholar trying it out and waking up with feathers in his beard. A breeze carries the scent of the sea, and you notice the village quieting, the river's hum blending with distant snores. You recall the grove's first pillow fight, nymphs, satyrs, and that glowing pillow, and feel a thread connecting it to these debates. The scholars' voices fade, their scrolls rustling like leaves, and you're back in the village, the stars sharp above. A kid nearby, half asleep, mutters that Somnus visits dreamers who debate him, fluffing their pillows as a reward. You grin because that's the kind of divine cameo you'd expect from him. Your own pillow's lavender pulls you deeper, and you yawn, the stone wall feeling cozier than it should. The debate lingers in your mind, and each theory is a piece of Somnus myth. Was he a god, a metaphor, or just a sleepy trickster? You're not sure, but the festivals you've seen make you lean toward real. The air grows cooler, the stars brighter, and you settle against the wall, your pillow cradling your head. The village feels like the grove did, alive, sleepy, full of Somnus legacy. You're ready for the next piece of this story, but your eyes are heavy. The rivers murmur a lullaby. The scholars can keep arguing. You're content with the fluff and the myth, drifting closer to sleep with every breath. You're still in that coastal village, the scholars' sleepy theories, those dream battles and Somnus debates, fading like the torchlight of that imagined agora. The air hums with sea salt and chamomile, the river's murmur blending with the soft snores of villagers sprawled on cloaks nearby. You're leaning against that smooth stone wall, your pillow's lavender scent wrapping you like a gentle hug, its faint lullaby hum tugging at your eyelids. The stars above feel closer like they're listening, and you sense Somnus himself, the god of this fluffy saga, watching from somewhere beyond. Tonight, you're slipping into his mind, wandering through his nightly reflections as he ponders the pillow fights that have spread from grove to city. You shift, your sandal brushing a pebble, and let the night carry you into his divine daydreams. Picture yourself floating above the mortal world, your feet barely grazing clouds that feel like, well, not as solid as Somnus thought. Remember that cloud-napping flop? You're seeing through his eyes now, lounging on a starry perch, his glowing pillow cradled in his lap. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks believed gods observed mortals closely, often meddling in their lives through dreams or omens, as seen in tales of Hypnos guiding sleepers. Somnus, though, isn't sending omens. He's watching villages light up with pillow fights, his creation sparking joy where he once found only restless nights. You feel his quiet pride like a parent watching kids play a game they invented. Somnus' thoughts drift to the grove where it all began, that moonlit chaos of nymphs and feathers. You see it in your mind, fireflies dancing, your laughter echoing as you swing your pillow. He muses on how mortals took his idea, turning it into festivals from dusty hamlets to bustling Corinth. A quirky tidbit surfaces, whispered by a breeze that feels like Somnus himself. He once tried joining a mortal pillow fight incognito, only to trip over a root and land face first in a pile of straw. You chuckle, imagining a god picking straw from his tunic, muttering about dignity. It's the kind of clumsiness you relate to, like when you stubbed your toe dodging that kid's swing. His reflections deepen, and you sense a flicker of doubt. Does his pillow fight really help mortals rest? Or is it just silly fun? You recall the villagers' yawns, their pillows cradled like treasures, and know it's working. Historians still argue whether Somnus myth reflects real sleep rituals or just a poetic take on chasing rest. But in his mind, it's personal. He sees a weaver in a village, her pillow stuffed with sage, sleeping soundly after a fight. Then, a poet in a city, his dyed pillow under his head, dreaming of verses. You're caught in these images, the stars above you pulsing like fireflies, and feel a warmth, like somnus approval of your sleepy presence. You shift against the stone wall, the river's hum blending with the night's quiet. Somnus' thoughts turn to his sleepless nights before the pillow, when he paced Olympus or, that Batcave fiasco, tried fanning himself to sleep. You grin because a god failing at rest is peak irony. His pillow, glowing with phoenix and eos feathers, changed that, and now it's changing mortals, too. You imagine him watching a kid in that coastal village, giggling mid-swing, then curling up under the stars. The mainstream thread holds that Greeks saw sleep as a divine gift, often seeking it through myths like this. Somnus' reflections feel like proof. His pride is soft but real. The quirky, tripping story lingers, and you laugh softly, earning a sleepy glance from a nearby villager. You picture Somnus dusting off his tunic, vowing never to join mortals again, only to watch them with a smile. A breeze carries the scent of the sea, and you yawn, your pillow's chamomile pulling you deeper. The stars seem to nod as if Somnus is sharing this moment with you. You recall Eris' jealous tantrum. Her storm cloud pillow didn't stand a chance, and feel a quiet triumph. Somnus' reflections are calm now, his doubts fading as he sees his legacy in every sleepy village. You're part of it, your pillow, a piece of his myth, and the night feels softer, like it's ready to cradle you. The village is quiet, and the river's murmur is a steady lullaby. You lean back, the stone wall cool but cozy, and let Somnus' thoughts wash over you. He's not pacing anymore, not muttering about sleeplessness. He's content, his pillow a small but mighty gift to a world that needs rest. You yawn again, the stars blurring, and feel the weight of your pillow. Its hum is a faint echo of his. The festival spread, the debates rage on. But here, under the night sky, you're drifting, caught in Somnus' reflections and the promise of a dream just out of reach. You're still in that coastal village, Somnus' starry reflections. His pride in those pillow fights, lingering like the chamomile scent of your pillow. The river murmurs, blending with the snores of villagers curled up on cloaks under the night sky. You're leaning against the stone wall, its coolness now as familiar as the olive tree from that first grove. The air carries sea salt and herbs, and fireflies barely flicker as if they're dozing, too. Your mind drifts from Somnus' divine musings to the mortals who've taken his fluffy idea and run with it, crafting pillows that go beyond straw and feathers. You shift, your sandal nudging a pebble, and imagine wandering through villages where weavers and farmers innovate, turning Somnus' gift into something uniquely their own. Picture yourself in a sunlit hamlet, dust swirling as you pass mud brick homes. A weaver sits outside, her loom idle, stitching a pillow with linen dyed a soft blue, like the dusk sky. She's stuffing it with dried mint and rosemary, swearing it keeps nightmares at bay. You lean closer, the herb's sharp scent tickling your nose, and she offers you a try. You rest your head, and wow, it's like the grove's lullaby hum in fabric form. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks often filled pillows with natural materials, like herbs or wool, believing they influenced dreams, a practice tied to healing rituals in Asclepius temples. These villagers, though, are making it an art. A quirky tidbit comes from a boy nearby, tossing pebbles into a bucket. He says some weavers claim Somnus whispers herb recipes in their dreams, but one got it wrong and stuffed a pillow with dill, making everyone sneeze. You laugh, picturing a village of red noses, like Somnus' phoenix feather fiasco all over again. You grin because mortals messing up divine tips is as classic as that Batcave nap fail. The weaver hands you a mint sprig, its coolness grounding you, and you tuck it into your tunic, half hoping for a dream whisper yourself. The hamlet hums, goats bleating, kids laughing, and you feel your eyelids droop, the pillow's scent working its magic. You wander to another village, this one nestled in a valley where olive trees sway. A farmer proudly shows off a pillow stuffed with crushed lavender and barley husks, claiming it's perfect for hot nights. You try it, the husks shifting like a gentle wave, and it's so cooling you nearly nod off standing up. He brags about trading these for wine at festivals, turning Somnus' idea into a side hustle. You smirk, recalling Hermes' pillow-selling schemes on Olympus. Mortals and gods aren't so different. Historians still argue whether these innovations were widespread or just local quirks. But seeing the farmer's pride, you're betting they were everywhere, one pillow at a time. The valley's air is warm, scented with wild sage, and you notice villagers gathered, swapping pillow tips like they're sharing gossip. A girl stitches hers with wool from her family's sheep, adding time for brave dreams. You join in, clumsily sewing a patch on your pillow, and she giggles, fixing your uneven stitches. The mainstream thread holds that Greeks saw sleep aids as sacred, often dedicating them to gods like Hypnos. These mortal creations, though, feel like a love letter to Somnus, each herb and stitch a nod to his fluffy legacy. You recall the coastal festival, those sage-scented swings, and feel a thread connecting every village, every pillow. That quirky dill pillow story sticks with you, and you laugh, imagining Somnus face palming in the stars. A kid nearby jokes that his pillows got Somnus lost snores sewn in, and you toss a pebble back, earning a grin. The valley's hum, crickets, wind, distant sheep, blends with the villagers' chatter, and you yawn, the lavender from your borrowed pillow pulling you under. The fireflies are gone now, the stars sharp above, and you lean against a low wall, the pillow cradled in your arms. You recall Eris' failed attempt to derail the grove's joy and smile because these mortal innovations are proof Somnus' idea is unstoppable. The village quiets, the weaver's needle slowing, the farmer counting his traded wine jugs. You settle on the ground, the pillow under your head, its mint and rosemary scent like a breeze from the grove. The night feels alive, carrying Somnus' legacy in every herb-stuffed stitch. You're part of this, your pillow a piece of the myth, and you wonder what other villages are dreaming up. Your eyes trace the stars, one winking like Somnus himself, and you're drifting. The valleys hum a lullaby, promising dreams as soft as the pillows you've seen tonight. You're still in that valley village, the scent of mint and rosemary from those clever mortal pillows. Remember the weaver's nightmare-proof stitching? Lingering like a soft hug. The stars gleam above, the valley's hum of crickets and sheep fading into a gentle hush. You're sprawled on the warm ground, your herb-stuffed pillow cradled in your arms, its lavender scent tugging at your eyelids. The villagers are dozing, their innovative pillows tucked under their heads, but your mind drifts back to Somnus, the god who started this fluffy revolution. Tonight, you're slipping into a divine moment where he uses his pillow, that glowing, feather-packed creation, to settle a godly feud. You shift, a pebble poking your sandal, and imagine yourself back on Olympus, where pillows become tools of peace. Imagine yourself perched on a cloud overlooking a marble hall where gods are bickering. The air is filled with the sharp and sweet scent of ozone and ambrosia, and you're trying not to sneeze from the divine dust. Somnus, with his lumpy pillow glowing softly, stands in the center, facing two gods locked in a spat. Let's say Demeter and Poseidon, arguing over who gets credit for a fertile coastal plain. Their voices boom, shaking the columns, and you're wondering how you got front-row seats to this cosmic drama. The mainstream fact here is that Greek gods often resolve disputes through mediators, like Zeus settling Athena and Poseidon's Athens feud, but Somnus' approach is fluffier, to say the least. He steps forward, yawning, and suggests a pillow fight to settle it. Do you stifle a laugh because, really, a god is proposing a pillow duel instead of thunderbolts? Demeter raises an eyebrow, her wheat crown glinting, while Poseidon grips his trident like it's a lifeline. A quirky tidbit floats from a nearby wind spirit, whispering that Somnus once tried to mediate a fight between nymphs with a pillow so soft it made them nap mid-argument. You grin, picturing him smugly watching as tempers dissolve into snores. Classic Somnus move, like that time he tripped in a mortal fight. You're starting to think he's the ultimate sleepy diplomat. Somnus tosses his glowing pillow to Demeter, who catches it, bemused, and he conjures another for Poseidon, this one shimmering like sea foam. First to laugh loses, he says, his voice gravelly but playful. You lean forward, the clouds soft under you, as they swing. Demeter with careful aim, Poseidon with a splashy flourish. Feathers fly, Phoenix and Eos plumes catching the starlight, and you dodge a stray one because divine fluff might knock you out. The other gods, Apollo strumming lazily, Hermes snickering, watch, and you join in, handed a pillow that hums faintly, like the grove's lullaby. You swing at a minor star god, who giggles and you're laughing too, the air buzzing with joy. Historians still argue whether Somnus diplomacy was a real myth or a later addition to making him seem cleverer, but here it feels legit. The fight's gentle, per Somnus rules, and Demeter lands a hit that sends Poseidon's pillow bursting, feathers raining like sea spray. He laughs a deep, salty chuckle and concedes the plane to her. You cheer, your voice lost in the gods' applause, and feel the pillow's hum pulling you under like that lavender-scented one in the grove. The mainstream thread holds that Greek myths often used contests to resolve disputes, but Somnus' pillow fight feels like a nod to his festivals, spreading peace through play. The quirky nymph-napping story lingers, and you imagine Somnus smirking as he pulls the same trick here. A nymph nearby jokes that Poseidon's pillow is stuffed with seaweed, not feathers, and you laugh, tossing a cloud wisp at her. The hall's energy softens, gods settling on marble benches, some cradling pillows like they're ready to nap. You recall Eris' failed chaos in the grove and smile because Somnus' diplomacy outshines her discord. The air grows cooler, the stars brighter, and you lean back on your cloud, the pillow's hum blending with the hall's quiet. Demeter and Poseidon are chatting now. Their feud has been forgotten, and you feel sleepy pride as if you're part of Somnus' plan. The scene fades, the marble hall blurring into the valley's starry night. You're back against the stone wall. The rivers murmur a faint echo of that divine laughter. Your pillow feels heavier, its lavender scent stronger, and you yawn, the night wrapping you up. Somnus' diplomacy worked just like his festivals, and you're drifting, caught in the myth's soft glow. The stars wink like he's watching, and you're ready for the final piece of the story. Your eyelids heavy but your heart light. You're back in the valley village, the echo of Somnus' divine pillow diplomacy, Demeter and Poseidon's fluffy truce, fading like a gentle wave. The night air hums with lavender and sage, the river's murmur blending with the soft snores of villagers curled up on their cloaks. You're nestled against the stone wall, its coolness now as comforting as that first olive tree in the moonlit grove. Your herb-stuffed pillow rests in your lap, its faint lullaby hum weaving through the starry quiet. The festivals, the debates, the godly antics, they've all led here to a moment where you reflect on Somnus' legacy, a god who turned sleepless nights into a gift of rest for dreamers. You shift, a pebble rolling under your sandal, and let the night carry you into the heart of his eternal slumber story. The stone wall and your pillow, like old friends, cradle you in their comforting embrace, bringing a sense of peace and relaxation. Picture yourself gazing up at the stars, each one a spark of Somnus' myth, glowing brighter as the village sleeps. You imagine him watching, not from Olympus but from the edges of dreams, his glowing pillow tucked under one arm. The mainstream fact here is that ancient Greeks saw sleep as a sacred bridge to the divine, with myths like Hypnos tying rest to spiritual renewal. Somnus' legacy, though, feels earthier. His pillow fights, born from restless nights, gave mortals a way to laugh their way to sleep. You recall the grove's first chaotic fight, feathers flying like fireflies, and smile because that joy has spread from villages to cities, stitching itself into every herb-stuffed pillow. It's a joy that binds us all, a shared experience that transcends time and place. A quirky tidbit drifts from a dozing elder nearby, his voice barely a whisper. Some say Somnus' pillow still wanders the world, appearing in dreams to those who need rest most. You chuckle, picturing it floating like a fluffy ghost, maybe landing on your bed back home. It's absurd, but after that phoenix feather quest and Batcave flop, you're not ruling it out. Historians still argue whether Somnus myth inspired real sleep rituals, or was just a cozy story to explain why Greeks loved their pillows, but you're leaning toward real, given the lavender-scented weight in your hands. You trace the stars, their patterns blurring as your eyelids droop. Somnus' legacy isn't just festivals or diplomacy. It's the mortals who took his idea and made it theirs. Weavers with mint-stuffed pillows, farmers with barley husks, kids swinging for giggles. You see them in your mind, from the coastal villages' sage-scented fights to Corinth's dyed linen masterpieces. Each pillow, each laugh, feels like a nod to Somnus, a god who couldn't sleep but made sure others could. You yawn, the river's hum blending with your pillow's faint lullaby, and feel warmth, like you're part of this myth, carrying its softness with you. The quirky, wandering pillow story sticks, and you grin, imagining it bopping Eris on the head for old time's sake. A kid nearby, half asleep, mutters that Somnus' pillow hums louder in dreams, and you toss a blade of grass his way, earning a sleepy smile. The mainstream thread lingers. Greeks wove myths into daily life, turning gods' antics into rituals. Somnus' gift feels alive in every village you've wandered, every pillow you've swung. The stars seem to pulse, like they're cheering, and you lean back, the stone wall cradling you, your pillow ready to catch your dreams. As the night deepens, the valley softens into a hush, the river's song slowing to a whisper. You feel the world fade, the stars dimming into a gentle glow, like fireflies settling for the night. Your pillow's lavender wraps you tighter. Its hum is a thread connecting you to Somnus Grove, to the villagers' laughter, and to the gods' fluffy truce. There's no rush now, no need to wander further. The myth has settled in your bones, a quiet promise of rest. You're drifting, the night folding around you like a warm blanket, each breath slower, softer. Let the stars keep watch. Let the river hum its lullaby. You're safe here, cradled by Somnus' legacy, slipping into a dream where feathers fall like snow, and sleep is a gift that never fades. Close your eyes, let go, and rest. The night wraps you in its warm embrace, offering a sense of security and peace.